Hello, my most amazing artists. I am so happy to see you again. I hope you've had an amazing week so far. Today, we are going to continue with our Faith Ringgold story quilts, but before we do that, let's go ahead and say our class mantra all together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. My mantra: I am positive, I am creative, I am mindful, I am amazing, I am an artist. All right, now that we have reminded ourselves of those 5 very important things, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so remember, we are looking at an artist called Faith Ringgold, and we're going to review some awesome facts about her in just a moment. So last week, we used the elements of art to draw an original drawing of one of your favorite memories and you flying over it. This week, we are going to use the elements of art to color your drawing. But first, let's look at Faith Ringgold again. Okay, so this is the beautiful Faith Ringgold. She was born in 1930. She was raised in Harlem, New York. This is where she began her artistic career as a painter. And she is best known for her story quilts. All right, let's look at one of those quilts up close. So I think that's actually the same picture, just a different quilt frame. So she used like a blue frame for that one. And for this one, she has some flowers. But I love her artwork because it's so unique and it adds so many different elements of art and pattern and principles of design. She uses pretty much everything in her artwork, which is really inspiring. She comes up with new, fresh ideas that no one's ever thought of before, which is a real inspiration. And as you can see, her quilts are called story quilts because they tell a story. All right, and if you guys listen to Faith Ringgold reading her 1991 children's book called Tar Beach, then you probably know exactly what this quilt is all about. Right here in the foreground, you see this big triangle. All right, if you read or listened to that story, then you probably know exactly what that is. That's Tar Beach right there. And the main character of the story, Cassie, hangs out with her family up there. And the story is all about the stars guiding her through her wildest dreams, basically, over this city. This is Harlem. Remember, that's where Faith Ringgold is from. So that's basically what that story is all about. So this is important for us because we have taken inspiration from Faith Ringgold and this quilt and this story in particular because we have drawn ourselves flying over our favorite memory. And if you read that book, you know Cassie is flying over this rooftop, which she calls Tar Beach, because it's one of her memories that she had with her family. Okay? And this week, we are going to use the elements of art to color your memory. You might be thinking, well, if we're just coloring our memory, then we're probably just going to use color, right? That's one element of art. That's probably all we're going to use today. Well, not exactly. We can add more elements of art to our coloring if we want to make it look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more realistic, okay? So we can do that by adding value, and I'll talk about that today. And if we add value to something, it makes it look more three-dimensional, which gives it form. If you want, while we're coloring today, you can add some more texture. That's the way something feels or the way something looks like it feels. Okay, so let's go ahead and start coloring. All you're going to need today is your drawing from last week and something to color with. You can use crayons. I want to use crayons today because I want to add shadows and highlights, and you can easily do that with crayons. You can also color with colored pencils, even marker if you want to, whatever you have at home. And if you drew your drawing in pencil, today you need to go over all of those pencil lines with a black marker. Okay, you could use a washable marker like this. You can even use a Sharpie if you wanted to. We just want to make sure that our drawing is nice and bold with these thick black lines so that we can see all of our beautiful details. Okay, and I'm sure you guys are a pro at coloring, but I want to show you a few tips and tricks on how to make your coloring come to life. Okay, so as you can see, I have a bunch of different colors, but you can use whatever colors you want to. Remember, this is your memory, this is your story, so you get to color it however you want to. All right, I think I'm going to start with the carpet. And in that apartment, our carpet was a brown. So if you're using crayons, or you could do this with colored pencils too, I'm actually using the side of the point of my crayon, and I'm just doing a light coverage with my crayon like this. Okay, and I'm doing this because the carpet wasn't a dark brown, it was like a lighter brown. So I don't have a light brown over here, so I'm just going to use my darker brown, and I'm just not going to press down very hard. And if I do this very lightly, then my brown looks a lot lighter in color. I'm doing it so light, you might not even actually be able to tell that I'm coloring it right now. But trust me, I am. I'm just making sure to take my time and not go too dark at first, because I can always make something look darker, but it's really hard to make something look lighter when you're coloring. So I'm just going to do it really light at first. Yeah, you can kind of see it just a little bit. I just did a super light layer of the brown, and I made sure to color inside where the carpet is, like even though this is me right here, where my arms are, this open space, that's carpet behind it. So I want to make sure to fill this entire piece of paper with color. Okay, there should be no white spaces by the time you're done, unless you have clouds or something. Of course, those can stay white, okay? But everything else should be colored, okay? And I want this to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to go in where I added that texture with my marker last week when I was drawing. And I'm just going to go over it with my dark brown, okay, just to make that look a little bit more interesting. And I'm just pressing down harder to make my brown darker. Okay, same for the top of my carpet. I want some areas to be a little bit more darker, so I'm just going to press down a little bit harder to make it just a bit darker. All right, so the harder that you press down with your crayons, the darker your color will be, but the lighter that you press down, the lighter your colors will be. All right, and this will probably take some practice, but once you get the hang of adding value, darker parts and lighter parts of your drawing, it will become a lot easier, okay? And what better time to start practicing than now? All right, remember, I grade you guys on how neat you are. So while you're coloring today, please do not rush. Please do not scribble. Take your time and make sure that you are doing your best and putting as much effort as you possibly can into this, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna color myself. My favorite color is pink, so I'm just gonna color myself wearing pink. Now I'm gonna do my hair because that's looking a little bit weird, so I wanna go ahead and do my hair. And guys, you can actually mix colors too with crayon, and the way you do that is you just do one layer of one color. So I'm just going to go over my hair with a regular brown, and my hair is kind of a reddish color. All right, I'm pressing down kind of hard to make sure that it looks different than the carpet, because I don't want people to think my hair is made out of carpet. All right, so I'm just coloring that in, and right now it's just brown. But you can layer different colors, and since I have a little bit of red in my hair, I can go in with the red and lightly go over that brown, and it kind of creates my hair color, okay? So you can mix colors with crayons too. If it's not mixing, you can just press down a little bit harder. And if you want to add some shadows on your shirt or something, I did a pink for my shirt, so maybe I want to go over it with purple, okay? To add a shadow on my arm. That'll make my arm look a little bit more 3D, okay? It'll give it more form. You see how I did that? Before it was just a plain old pink shirt, but I just added a little bit of purple, and you can use any darker color to add a shadow to make my arm look a little bit more 3D. That's pretty cool. And same for the grass outside. I just did a layer of this green, but if you look at real grass, there's some lighter parts and some darker parts in your grass. So I'm going to take a lighter green. I'm going to add some lighter parts. All right, to get it to show up, you might have to press down a little bit harder. And taking a darker green, I can add some darker parts. Okay, that makes our grass look a lot more interesting. Instead of just being one color, I added a light green, a medium green, and darker green to make it look a lot more interesting. You guys should try to do the same. I'm going to color my flowers. I'm trying my very best to also stay inside the lines, because remember, I want to try my best, and in order to do that, I need to try to stay inside the lines, okay? And this is a daytime scene, so I want my sky to be a light blue, but as you can see, I do not have a light blue, so what do you think I can do? All I have is dark blue. What can I do? I know what I can do. I can just do it very lightly to make it a lighter blue. All right, if I press down really hard, It's a dark blue. But if I barely press down, it's a lot lighter. All right, so that's how I'm going to color my sky in. All right, if you accidentally make something too dark, like I went over this sliding door with a gray and I think I pressed down a little bit hard, you can try to use a white to go over it and lighten it up a little bit, okay? So that's what you can do if you make something too dark. Just as a review for the techniques that I'm using, I am making colors lighter by pressing down really softly, and I'm making colors darker by pressing down a lot harder. I'm layering my colors on top of one another to create shadows. And if I make something a little bit too dark, I can try to add white to it to lighten it up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use those 3 techniques to color my drawing. So that way I have color, I have value, I have form, I've added texture too. Okay, so try your best to use these techniques, practice them. The more you practice, the better you will get. All right. I really recommend layering your colors because it looks really awesome once it's finished. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back to show you my finished drawing. All right, guys, so I have just finished coloring my whole entire piece of paper. The only white spaces that are showing are my clouds and my little speech bubbles here because I don't want to color those in because it might cover up my letters a little bit too much and people won't be able to read it. But other than that, I have covered every single centimeter, square inch, foot, whatever you want to call it, of this piece of paper in color. It might be hard for you to see all the color, and I put shadows in my couch, and just so you guys know, no, I did not have a pink couch growing up, but it has been my dream to own a pink couch, so why not put a pink couch in there, okay? It doesn't have to look exactly like where you were, if you're outside or inside. Make it your own, and try your best, and put your best effort in coloring inside the lines. Choosing different colors. Don't use the same color all over and over again because then your picture will just kind of blend together. All right. Try to add some shadows. You see where I added a darker pink to my lighter pink to make it look more 3D right there. Just try to play around with your crayons because there's so much you can do with crayons other than just coloring something in. Like for example, for my dress, it is green, but I put some blue in there to make it look a little bit more interesting. And I made this arm look a little bit darker because I know it's behind my head, so I know it's going to look a little bit dark. It's going to have a shadow on it, okay? So just try your best to think of those kinds of things while you're coloring today. And I hope you guys have a lot of fun coloring and trying out these new techniques that you may have never tried before. I cannot wait to see what your drawings look like after you've added color to them. I know they're going to look amazing because you guys are amazing. All right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time.